Welcome back to the show, everyone. This is Bill Murphy, your host of the Red Zone podcast. So today, my guest is Bill Jensen. He's a best-selling author, a world-renowned speaker, and a thought leader who's worked on the topics of one of my favorite topics, simplicity. And this has earned him the nickname called Mr. Simplicity. He's also the CEO of a management consulting firm, the Jensen Group, that helps Fortune 500 clients apply the principles of simplicity to business management and work design. Bill's the author of 8 best-selling books on management, and his first book, Simplicity, was a number 5 leadership management book on Amazon in 2000. And in particular, he's launching a new book that I highlight called The Day Tomorrow Said No. We talked about this in the conversation. And Bill has spent the last 30 years studying the best ways work can get done. He's passionate simpleton who is against corporate stupidity that wastes people's time, attention, and dreams. Some of the biggest topics Bill covers with his work are the top essentials for leading people into tomorrow, creating cultural agility with digital transformation, and developing focus, speed, and clarity in today's crazy world. And Bill has worked with numerous large corporations on the topic, including American Express, GE, IBM, SAP, and many others. So Bill's competitive advantage is his work ethic and passion for making it easier for everyone to work smarter, not harder. He has interviewed and surveyed over 1 million people over his 30-year career and always has an eye for the future. This eye for the future has prompted IBM to invite him to be a part of their exclusive future think tank community. I interview a lot of people, and this conversation with Bill was extraordinary. I love the topic, and for high performance leaders, what I want you to get from this takeaway is high performance leaders need to take a step back and look at your individual thinking. You must start to think exponentially. And this starts with how you look at time. And I'm way beyond efficiency. So drop the efficiency and use for time. I'm so far beyond that. You will learn in this conversation with Bill how to elevate your thinking, how to 10x your thinking. So you think about the 1,440 minutes in a day from a different perspective. Have you thought about it from your legacy perspective? Have you thought about it from what value are you delivering today? And these are the key exponential drivers that allow you as one of the rare leaders to take a step back and out of the maelstrom and really look at how you're delivering value. Some of the other things you're going to get out of this conversation is how to structure your interactions with people so you're deeply respecting your time and their time, because we can't get time back. And we're going to talk about the power of storytelling and how do you personally deliver your story, your value, and what's the type of mentors? This was a big topic. We talked about mentors. And do you have coddle mentors, or do you have mentors that are really pushing you to a 3-year vision? Many of the leaders that I talk to really struggle with thinking about their legacy and thinking about their 3-year vision personally for themselves. They're always defaulting to the company, but what is your individual one? We talk about that and the need for different types of mentors, coddle mentors, and ones that really push you to high performance. So I want you to take a step back in this and really, I'm going to break this episode into several chunks. And so you may be listening to the long episode or some of the shorter chunks. But either way, you're going to get a lot of value from Bill. He's a deep expert on simplicity and how you deal with corporate change, how you deal and develop a competitive advantage, and really digitally transform your businesses, but yourself, starting with yourself. So that I want to introduce you to best-selling author Bill Jensen. Have a great time. Okay, Bill. Well, I want to welcome you to the show today.
Thank you, Bill, too.
Now, this is great. So I'm going to keep that little sign in the back left off your shoulder with the train stop there. My son came to me the other day and he said he's 17 right now, soon to be 27. And he said, "What?" He goes, "Dad, didn't you used to have a train set in the basement?" He had this memory of me building the train set every Christmas. I put the racetrack and the train set in the basement, used to build it up. So where did you build? And is this a passion, trains, or just generally you like old objects?
Love antiques, love old objects, but family story. My uncle Don grew up on Long Island, and he was an engineer for the Long Island Railroad, not the choo-choo engineer, the building trestles kind, mechanical engineer.
Yep.
And he moved up to New Hampshire, and an old farmhouse at the top of a mountain, and his driveway was an old logging road that went up into the woods. And he couldn't get the hunters to stop going at 4 a.m, driving past his house to go up into the woods because they could drive where they could hunt. It was the only place in New Hampshire where they could drive right up to where they'd hunt. And he couldn't get them to stop violating his property. So when he retired from the Long Island Railroad, they gave him something that looks very much like what's over my shoulder, a half-size Long Island Railroad crossing. And he wired it to his bed. And at 4 a.m. when they walked up, when they tried to drive past, rather, he'd go ding, 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 and a gate would come down in front of them. They'd be scared, whatless. And the point is how this relates to why we're talking today. Not my Uncle Don, not railroads, but always have a sense of humor. No matter what you do, no matter how serious the problem is, always laugh every day. And my Uncle Don taught me that in the backwoods of New Hampshire.
That's great. That and I can relate because I grew up in New England and in Massachusetts, so we often used to go to New Hampshire, so I can relate to that story. So tell us a little bit about your backstory, and how you got involved with technology. And did this start back in high school? Did this start back in college? Like where was this? Where did this start?
Well, there are two stories in my life that are important. Both relate to my technical expertise and the other my passion. Technical expertise and the big aha that I had was when I was a junior in college at Rochester Institute of Technology.
RIT.
And RIT. And I was taking a logic course, if then, PQ, and or. And now I had actually taken it in high school and aced it. So I was bored. And the teacher was teaching from the exact same book that I had in high school. So I decided to blow off the entire year and just take the midterm or rather blow off the midterm, just take the final. So during the finals, during the midterms, when I should have been taking an exam, I decided to go around the lake to Toronto, which is basically straight north of Rochester with a lake in the middle. And I partied my butt off doing things illegal and legal, and literally stumbled high into the back of the Ontario Science Center. And there was this maze with ping pong balls at the top. There were about 20 ping pong balls, and the goal was with a limited number of levers to get one ball to drop. And I was watching some 5th or 6th graders play it, and they tried it the first time, blew it, second time, blew it, third time, they got it, and they walked away high-fiving each other. And I had a momentous aha at that moment. They were doing college-level logic, or for your IT people, they were doing binary programming. They figured out, for an and statement, 2 halves of the statement need to be true, so 2 gates needed to drop.
Yeah.
Or for an or statement, only 1 half of the statement needed to be true, only 1 gate needed to drop. So they were doing binary programming, only no one told them they were doing that. No one said, this is how you have to use ones and zeros, and this is how you have to code. They were doing college level thinking at a 5th grade level. And it dawned on me, we can teach anybody anything. We can give anybody any problem if we give it to them at their level, not ours. So my first book, Simplicity, and my passion, my 35 years passion for simplicity arose out of that one moment, which is simplicity is truly what we're now calling design thinking, empathy. It's putting yourself in the shoes of your user, not your shoes. So I deal with a lot of technical people throughout my career, and they're always thinking from their perspective. I said, no, it's the same as usability testing, UX. It's put yourself in the user's shoes. How easy and simple have you made it for them to achieve what you want them to achieve? That one thing came from that one moment.
Your nickname, I don't know if it's a nickname, but I see Mr. Simplicity. And I brought that up, and I want to go into this a little bit more because yesterday I was giving a talk on cybersecurity to an association, one of the virtual talks, that I've been invited to. And it was a bunch of CFOs. And I talked about Pareto principle, the 80-20. And I said, everybody, and I explained the complexity. And I said, is everybody sufficiently complex right now? And yes, a lot of hands went up. I said, but if I told you 20% if 20% of the solution would give you 80% of the benefit, then, and 20% of your investment will give you 80% of your value and security, it completely changed their mind perspective. So I'd love to get what your thoughts are on simplicity and where you go with that.
Well, two things. I've already mentioned one, empathy. Put yourself in the user's shoes or the audience's shoes. Especially, I deal with change management. We suck, really, really suck at putting ourselves in the employee's shoes. Everybody in IT is focused on delivering what the senior execs want from the company's perspective. If there's only one message I could get out, stop dealing with only the company's perspective and start dealing with the employee's perspective. So empathy is one. The other is exactly what you and I are already doing. You want to get to the essence of simplicity, tell a story. Throughout human history, how we have understood things around campfires, around sitting outside the cave, way back when we were grunting back at each other, or through, the Renaissance or the Middle Ages with stained glass windows throughout Europe, and then nobody could read Latin, so they told stories through stained glass. Throughout human history, the most impactful way to simplify an idea is tell a story. Can be funny, can be sad, can be impactful, but relate your concept through a story. So empathy and storytelling are two of the biggest things. The third, and if you want, I can go into why I'm so passionate about it.
Yes, please do.
Well, first, the third lesson is respect people's time.
Okay.
The most important thing, the most important asset that everybody has right now is their time and attention. And I often in my talk about the number 1,440, that it's the most important number in business today that nobody ever talks about it. Any idea what it would be?
No,
Bill?
please. You said 1,000.
1440.
14. Was that the invention of the printing press?
No, it's not a date. It's the number of minutes in a day. We only get, no one, not you, not me, no one watching this podcast gets more than nobody gets 1441. And yet, what's the main vehicle what's the main thing we do with all our technologies? We use people's time and attention.
But Bill, my problem where people go with this, and I know this is more than likely where you're not going to go with it, but people always approach time from an efficiency perspective.
Right.
And, how can I get more done in less time and less sleep? And certainly me as an entrepreneur, that is 100% how and unfortunately that approach favors the high energy folks that don't need much sleep, which is me, which I've subsequently changed that as I get older because I can't deal with that much less sleep. But I'd love to know how you approach what you really mean by the 1440.
Well, a close friend of mine wrote a book the same time as my first book, Simplicity, Tim Sanders, and it was called Love is the Killer App. And what I'm really approaching it, I'm sorry to be, this heartstringy with you, but it's love. It's not efficiency. The way you focus on time is you respect, or another word that's less soft, but still important, respect. Respecting that the other person only gets 1440. Be efficient with their time and attention, not necessarily what you need throughput in your system. So where that came from me, and it's the most important thing that ever happened in my life, it was July 14th, 1994. And it was the night my mom died. And what happened was she was in the emergency room, and we were my family and my sister's families were all around us, and we were surrounding mom, and the doc says, she's got an aneurysm. We can't fix it. She only has a few hours to live. I'm sorry. What we can do is make her comfortable. We'll take you from the emergency room on the ground floor to the ICU up on the 4th floor. intensive care unit. And there's a family waiting room there. Go to the family waiting room and wait for her, and we'll bring her up. So we go up to the ICU family waiting room, and you can imagine mom was the center of everything for us. And we're waiting there for 5 minutes, no mom. 10 minutes, 20, no mom. 30 minutes. I'm waiting for my father to do something because it's his wife, but he's not a take charge kind of guy. So finally, at 40 minutes, I'll admit, I confess, Bill, I was an asshole. I kicked, I screamed, I cursed, but I got the nurses and docs' attention. They all came over, and they were very, very kind and empathetic. They were. But the gist of what they said is, sorry, your mom's been dying alone in the ER for 40 minutes. Nobody's in her corner with her. Nobody's holding her hand. There was a miscommunication between the ER and the ICU. So she was dying alone for 40 minutes. And fortunately, they did bring her up, and we were with her when it passed. So I was happy, not happy, but I was okay with that. But I can't say this happened immediately, Bill, but like a year after the grieving process, I realized, damn it, that hospital stole 40 of the last minutes that I was ever going to have with mom. Most important person in my life up until that point. Now, let me bring it back from the heartstrings to the hardcore. Everything you do, your audience right now, not you, Bill, everything you do, but you and I too, Bill, is we use a portion of someone else's life to get our work done. I want you to start rethinking your work according to that. How efficient and effective are you at using a portion of someone else's life? So that in everything I do is my mom's legacy. My professional legacy is simplicity. I learned a lot about how to do it from that moment in the Ontario Science Center, but I learned why to do it from my mom's death. So why are you using other people's time and attention? Is it just to make money? Is that enough? Are you helping to make humanity or their lives better? That's my hope from our talk today, that somebody will go, wow, what am I doing?
Yeah, it's by the way, that is a very powerful story. And early on in my career in the early 90s, my boss, I was taught the concept of WIFM, WIFM. I'm sure you're aware what's in it for me, but what's in it for the person that you're delivering the message for. And so from your point of view on the time, so you're essentially driving home the message of really strong intentionality with how you structure your interaction with people, and stop, I'm going to use harsh words, but stop being lazy with how you prepare and how you're interacting with other people, and being very intentional about that interaction, so that and I look at that as, is that essentially what you're saying?
Yes, and that success, look at success differently. Did you deliver value beyond the product or service that you're doing? Yes. I'm talking to you through an iMac, and Steve Jobs delivered value to me way back when. Beyond the product or service, in the way that you used that person's time and attention, did you deliver value to their life? Not just a product or a service.
Yeah, that's a very powerful approach. It's a very, very powerful approach. And it's an interesting, we started out the conversation, well, not started the conversation, but this particular track was about, using time, and people can get trapped into the efficiency trap. I have a coaching group that I'm a part of. It's an entrepreneur, it's called Strategic Coach. And a lot of these tools that a lot of the coach you inherit through the years haven't been that useful from a wide variety of different, but there's always some nugget from everybody that I've learned. And one is this impact filter that I use, that if there's a meaningful outcome that I'm looking for, that I actually, prior to going into a meeting, really think and architect the arc of that, of not just the meeting, but of the outcome we're all we're looking to and get as granular as I can so that there's a lot of clarity with the team as far as what we're mapping to and what we're going towards. But anyway, that's mine. And I find that very challenging to do. That is a very hard exercise for me as a leader. It's not in my natural skill set or my DNA. But how do you do it? How do you coach people to be intentional when you want to be a high performance leader in a very complex world? How would you coach someone?
Well, thank you for the question. And with your permission, I'll answer that. And it leads into my next book that I'd also like to mention. I took my mom's death. What's yours? Where are you coming from? So how I do that is I go to a higher level that everybody can call upon, whether they're in a tough meeting, whether it's a transaction, just what can you call upon that's within you? And one of the coaching exercises I do with almost all senior execs is I ask them, what do you want your legacy to be? And legacy is not something, you don't have to die to do this, but it is like your epitaph. It is like, okay, if 100 people who I most impacted in my life were standing around me at the end of my life and said, this is how your life impacted me. That's your legacy. So I ask people to I ask leaders and I coach them to give me a legacy statement, short, simple, a sentence or a few sentences about the impact you want to have on others, ... 3 years from now.
Oh,
We're taping January 2021, January 2024. What is the legacy you want to leave on people 3 years from now? If you were to get hit by a bus 3 years from today, what would the legacy be that you did from today to that time? Now, why do I use 3 years? It comes from a TED Talk where the speaker was talking about the way technology and the rate of change is going. More change is going to happen in the next 20 years than all of the past 2,000. Yep. Now, depending on how much that I can't even comprehend that. How can any of us keep up with that? But depending on how much tech you use, that comes out to, you will experience somewhere between 1 year and 3 years from now, a lifetime's worth of change. Now, if any of you go, oh, that's bogus, Bill, think about 2020. All of us experienced a lifetime's worth of change in that 1 year, and it was thrust upon us and forced upon us. Well, technology is doing the same damn thing. So 3 years from now, you will have a lifetime worth of change to deliver. What is the legacy you want to leave behind? So that is the coaching. And from that, I wrote my next book, which comes out in about a month. It's called The Day Tomorrow Said No. And
I was really impacted by that title. That is very apropos for today.
And the concept is, going back to our storytelling, I was trying to get, the original idea behind the book was like Al Gore's Inconvenient Truths. I was trying to tell senior executives inconvenient truths in a business book format. And I'm going, wait, they're still not listening. How do I tell it in a story? So I created a fable, an illustrated fable. I hired Japanese artists to illustrate it for me. Mm-hmm. And it's a fable about the future of work told through 3 characters: today, tomorrow, and little one. Today, present; tomorrow, the future; little one, the workforce of the future. And it's all data driven. So one of the research nuggets that I've done, I've interviewed and surveyed over 1 million people over the last 30 years. And one of the interview questions I ask is, can you achieve your dreams where you currently work? Mm-hmm. Now, Bill, from your experience, if I give you a percentage from 0 to 100, guess, it could be 0% to 100%. What percentage of people would you say would say, yes, I can achieve my dreams where I currently work?
If I was interviewing entrepreneurs, I would say north of 70%. Yeah, and most senior executives, I was actually going to build upon this, but I'll give you a direct answer and then build upon it later. If talking to my IT business leaders who actually have the ability to impact a business more than anyone in the business does right now. I would say it's about 20%. Actually, when I ask them the 3-year question, they actually can roll it right off and it's not the company's 3-year. They know their own internal 3-year, and they were able to map their internal to their business, and I don't have to fight for it. And that normally what I have to do is I have to back that 3-year question out to 1 year, so that the brain of that leader can actually settle in to actually answer it. Because it's if you haven't like thought about it and like really worked with it, the 3-year is a little bit more challenging to come up with. But so the answer to your question, the senior business IT leaders that I work with, the top folks, 20%, I think can go out 3 years and give that type of ambition statement.
And if you include the rest of the workforce, 9.8%.
Oh, really? Okay, 9.8.
Under 10%.
Interesting.
So the bringing it back to the story I was telling with The Day Tomorrow Said No, I started it's in storytelling, it's called the inciting incident. What caused the everything to move forward and the story to unfold? Well, the inciting incident in The Today Tomorrow Said No is an actual data point that tomorrow is running out of dreams. Tomorrow says, I've got 8 billion people out there designed to fail. I can't create a future with only 9.8% of us being able to accomplish their dreams. We need to change the way we work. And the story unfolds about how they save the future of work. So what I do is I wrap a hardcore strategic future of work business concept about how we have to change, how we have to use technology completely differently to empower people and to give them personal agency. That goes back to your entrepreneurs always being high. Entrepreneurs have an intense sense of personal agency. Somebody who works for a company, somebody else usually does not. It's usually around 9.8%.
But I think people need to look at themselves as I always just, even when I wasn't independently, when I didn't have someone, even when someone else was providing a paycheck to me, I always looked at myself as Bill Inc. And I think that the way I know the book's being released next month, and I'm really excited about it. I think the interesting part of future of work is, and the way I tell my kids, is you need to look at yourself as independently employed, whether or not you're independently employed or not.
And the story of the Tomorrow is a vehicle for people who have not figured out Bill Inc. or John or Mary or Joan or whatever Inc. It's to promote internal introspection and external conversations so that everybody around us can perform like that.
Because I believe that from the listeners that are going to be listening to this from my community and hopefully beyond, the ability to impact, the ability to have personal impact and then corporate, like existential impact, you have the ability to ripple out beyond just your team, beyond the employees. Like there's people that do business with your business, and then that 20%, let's say it is 20, we don't know the number, but I guess 9.8 is the general employee population. But what if that 20% can light up a 10% from 9.8 to 15.2? I just think that in a very, very fast moving world, the leadership of the future, we always talk about innovation from technology, but I think we need innovative thought. I think we need to scale innovative thought.
And I think what 2020 and the global pandemic taught us is the biggest innovation of all, the biggest thing we need to focus on is personal impact. What everybody was lacking was community, connecting, hanging together, having beers, whatever it was. And we lost it, and we learned how crucial that is. So when I'm asking everyone who's listening or watching right now to start including in your legacy, yes, deliver sales, deliver products, deliver strategies, deliver services, and also consider what your legacy is about. How did you truly make a difference in that person's life? And the book that, and by the way, it's www.tomorrowsaidyes.es. Tomorrowsaidyes.es at the end.
I love it.
It's all about promoting the kind of conversation that we're having right now, both inward introspection and then among our teams.
And I'm going to provide links on the show notes so everyone can hit that button and subscribe. You can get it whether you get it on your iPhone or on your Droid. I got both. I like to see how the show pushes down to both platforms, and then also on the web as well, and on Twitter and LinkedIn, and it's going to be everywhere, Bill, and on YouTube as well. This is a powerful conversation, and one thing I wanted to ask you about as we wrap up is I look at when you're putting out the word in your written word. This is a synthesis of 30, 40 years worth of knowledge and expertise, and I look at a lot of what I do in my community building is that, or even our concept of building mentors. So the concept of mentorship has to change, and that we can't, I think we're at a point where the senior IT business leader used to be the smartest person in the room. Now they know that they still may be, but they can't actually think that. They've actually got to leverage the expertise around them. And the type of thinking that you're providing is mentorship. And I'd like to see, how do senior business leaders now continue to be mentored and coached so that it's a muscle that's built and developed throughout a year and not just something they listen to Bill one time? Like, how could they engage in this on an ongoing basis?
I often advise the people that I coach to have two different kinds of mentors. One, the one they would normally think about, somebody that's I feel good about, that I feel comfortable with, that I love talking, they know me. I just feel comfortable with their advice. Even if they push me, I like the mentor. I appreciate the mentor. We need a second kind of a mentor, a disruptive mentor, or somebody who's going to constantly keep you on your edge, make you uncomfortable, make you pissed off, make you unhappy, make you scared in a way, because you need somebody who's going to, push further.
Yeah.
And I had, I was in high school football, and I had two different kinds of mentor coaches. One made me feel good about me. The other said, no, you can do better. You can do better. You can do it. And I needed both. I needed inner confidence. I was a scrawny kid. I was playing linebacker at a size that I had no right to be. But I needed both. Someone that, with their advice, the wisdom of ages, somebody that's been around the block and say, no, this is how it really works. You need somebody like that gives you ideas and makes you feel more comfortable about spreading your wings. You also need a pain in your butt.
Yep.
Somebody who's going to constantly just kick you and not stop kicking, and you contract for that. And we need two different kind of mentors in harmony together.
100%. I love that. And I think that's, I love that message. I haven't heard it stated that way, but when I look at the people I've surrounded myself with, some are way out on the edge and just push me really, really hard, and more are centrist and still give me a more of a gentle push. But there's some that I just have big goals and dreams, which is that three-year item we were just talking about. And you got to find those people that are going to actually have done that and been there and done that and seen it happen before and believe in you. Just need one person that believes in what you can do, right?
Absolutely. And going back to our concept of time, you need the gentler push coach when you got a deadline today or this week. Help me get it through. Just sound advice, short, simple. Just show me transactional advice almost.
Yeah.
But for your 3-year goal, you need somebody kicking you in the butt constantly, saying you can push it further, you can do better. What's your bigger goal?
Bill, this has been a pleasure. I'm going to definitely put show notes links to your this conversation. I haven't had this type of a guest on in a while where we talked about time in this way. And I think that's really powerful. So I'll put links. What's the best way for people to connect with you? In LinkedIn, Twitter? What's your preference?
LinkedIn is fine. Email is bill@simplerwork.com. Or the new book, Tomorrow Said Yes. So
as we wrap up, is there anything that I said or in our conversation or anything that subconsciously you're like, what, I wish Bill asked me this question that you want to end with as just as a specific message?
You did beautifully. Nothing left, just to recap, to tell them what you told them. Um, Everybody else's lives matter. Do they matter enough to you? Whatever you're going to do today, are you creating enough value for that person from their perspective,
Yeah.
where they say, you created value for me, thank you. And it's all around how we use people's time and attention.
It's so simple. It's so simple, but so powerful. So powerful. So this is great, Bill. Thank you very much for coming on the show. We're going to time this right with the book release. So this has been a great fun, and maybe hopefully we'll do it again soon in the future.
I'd love to. Thank you, Bill.